the top 20 NBA players in 2024. Number 20, James Harden. Now, we all know how good a prime James Harden was, but the truth is, since the hamstring injury with the Nets, he just hasn't been the same player. As in games 1 and 3 versus Boston, he dropped 40 points in both games. But for Harden, those performances are few and far between, especially in the postseason. Harden is still a very good three-point shooter off the dribble as he shot 38% from deep in 2023, while also drawing a lot of attention on his drives. He was playing more of a point guard passing role for the Philadelphia 76ers, which was very beneficial for the team's success, as he averaged 10.7 assists per game. For me, if I had to pick between James Harden and Jrue Holiday, I'm taking Jrue Holiday, and that's who we have at number 19. Everyone knows how good Jrue Holiday is on the defensive side of the ball, as he's widely accepted to be the best defensive guard in the NBA. However, the offense is still there too, as Holiday averaged 19.3 points, 7.4 assists, 5.1 rebounds, 1.2 steals on 47.9% from the field, helping Milwaukee to a 58-win season. The Bucks, however, did flame out in the postseason, losing to the Miami Heat in the first round, as Holiday's scoring numbers did drop to about 40% from the field and averaging 17.8 points. However, his regular season numbers were good enough to make him an all-star, over the likes of Harden and Jalen Brunson. Jrue Holiday has been underrated for many years now, but we finally believe that he's not underrated anymore, as fans now respect Jrue's game and what he brings to the Bucks. Number 18, Bam Adebayo. Miami Heat center Bam Adebayo helped Jimmy Butler and led the 8-seeded Heat all the way to the NBA Finals with averages of 17.9 points, 9 rebounds, 3.4 assists on 48.1% from the field. However, most of his scoring comes with easier looks, as the offense he provides is not as good as advertised, as Bam does not have a go-to post-game and he relies on open dunks and mid-range shots. Bam is a great defender though, as he gets deflections and blocks, while also being a great screener in the handoff or the roll man. Number 17, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is still one of the best point guards in basketball, as in the 2023 season, Irving averaged 27 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.3 steals on 51% from the field. It was thought that Kyrie was going to leave Dallas in free agency, but he signed on for 3 more years, $126 million with the Dallas Mavericks, which is less than Fred VanVleet got with Houston. Kyrie Irving is the best fourth quarter scorer in the NBA, as clutch is his middle name. Kyrie is starting to be a little bit overlooked, but personally, I'm excited to see how well Dallas does in 2024, as if Kyrie continues to put up these solid numbers alongside Luka, the future is going to be very bright for Kyrie and the Mavs. Number 16, Donovan Mitchell. The leader of the Cleveland Cavaliers had his best regular season to date, as Donovan Mitchell has taken another leap into becoming the second coming of Dwayne Wade, as Spider possesses the speed and athleticism of Wade while being a better shooter, leading the Cavaliers to the playoffs where they would lose to the Knicks in the first round. Some flaws that Mitchell has in his game is that he's undersized, standing at only 6'1", not a great defender, and takes too many bad shots, as he was only shooting 43% and averaging 23 points per game during the postseason, while in the regular season he averaged 28.3 points, 4.3 rebounds, 4.4 assists, 1.5 steals on 48.4% shooting. Mitchell's ability to be effective just about anywhere on the court is a special talent though, as he can play off the ball while being a solid playmaker and possessing a lethal first step. But speaking of a quick first step, we've got the quickest first step in the NBA, and that is at number 15, Ja Morant. Now, Ja is definitely going through some off-court stuff, but when he's on the court, he's one of the best offensive players in the league and has an MVP caliber potential. As Morant's strengths are clear, as his ability to attack the cup is unmatched in the NBA. He's also an elite finisher, an insane athlete with a high IQ, and a good playmaker. Now, the drawbacks to Morant's game is he does not have a go-to jumper, as he was only shooting 42% from the floor during the playoffs, and he was left wide open from beyond the arc for the majority of the time. His offense is pretty one-dimensional, as he's going to drive the ball pretty much every single time, and he's also not a great defender, which may be his biggest weakness, as don't let his athleticism fool you. Ja gets bullied on the defensive end of the floor by any bigger guard and wings due to the lack of size, and he tends to be a little bit of a ball watcher at times, as he doesn't fight over screens well, and this explains why his teams do better when he isn't on the floor, as they can keep up due to the lack of defense. Number 14, Kawhi Leonard. It's really difficult to rank Kawhi, as he's one of the best playoff risers in the league, as he consistently lifts his performances during the postseason. Leonard is one of the best mid-range scorers the NBA has ever seen, and is an improved playmaker too. While the on-ball defense has been worse since his return, he still gets into passing lanes and has a good defensive possession every once in a while. Kawhi played very well again in the playoffs, and he was on track for another great run, but he only managed to play 2 games as he suffered an MCL sprain during game 2. The lack of durability is insane, as he only managed to play 52 games in the regular season due to the ACL sprain 2 seasons prior, which is the reason his defense has dropped, and his first step is dramatically slower now, making it harder for Kawhi to get to the rim, meaning the rim pressure that he used to be able to apply is just not there anymore. For me, Kawhi is still a top 20 player, but he could slip out in the next few years. Number 13, Damian Lillard. Dame always flies flies under the radar a little bit as he had another fantastic regular season. Although the Blazers didn't make the playoffs, it's hard to say that's his fault, as look at the players that he has around him. Dame truly had one of the greatest offensive seasons of all time in 2023 as he put up averages of 32.2 points, 4.8 rebounds, 7.3 assists on 46.3% from the field. Dame is elite when it comes to scoring as his jump shot is one of the best in league history. He can score no matter where he is on the court and is a crafty finisher with a good mid-range game too. But there's so much talent in the NBA right now, and it feels crazy to say that Dame isn't top 10, but the truth is he currently isn't. Number 12, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. For me, I've got Shai over Dame, knowing full well how controversial that is. But the truth is I'm just that high on Shai and OKC as a matter of fact. With Chet Holmgren and Josh Giddey, this team has such a bright future. Shai in the past season cemented the fact that he's one of the best offensive players in the league as he averaged 31.4 points, 4.8 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 1.6 steals on 51% shooting in 2023. He's a very crafty scorer with a good mid-range game and finishing ability as he puts so much pressure on the rim while having that mid-range game to fall back on. He has a good first step with good handles while also drawing fouls to get to the line whenever he wants. Now, the drawbacks for Shai is the three-point shooting, not being a great playmaker, and the defensive side of the ball. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shot the three ball well in his early seasons in the NBA with the Clippers, and even though he still shoots 35% from deep, he doesn't take too many threes per game, therefore not spacing the floor maybe as well as he could. While defensively, his size and strength just aren't good enough to battle some of the other point guards in the NBA. Number 11, Jimmy Butler. Now, Jimmy Butler outside of the top 10 is another controversial take, even though he's coming off the best playoff run of his career. Too many people put him in a tier that he just isn't on, as he's a poor floor spacer, an inconsistent jump shooter, making him very limited as an on-ball scorer, while Jimmy is a great defender, moves well off the ball, is a solid playmaker, gets to the free throw line at will, and is a playoff riser. But the offensive side of the ball can be a problem at times, and he tends to be quite inconsistent at that end, giving out 40-point triple-doubles in one game and then 15 points in the next. On the defensive side of the ball, he gets steals, and even when he's beat off the dribble, he's proven he can recover and block shots. Jimmy has shown us time and time again that he's a playoff riser, as in the regular season he averaged 29.9 points, 5.9 rebounds, 5.3 assists, 1.8 steals on 53.9% from the field, and in the playoffs he upped those numbers to 26.9 points, 6.5 rebounds, 5.9 assists, 1.8 steals on 46.8% shooting. Jimmy is a great player, no doubt, but for me, he's not top 10 worthy. Number 10, Anthony Davis. AD has become a much worse offensive player with the Lakers than he was on the Pelicans, but the defensive side of the ball has made up for that, and he can still get you a bucket when needed. The defense is generational, as he might be the best rim protector in the game, as he gets blocks, steals, and deflections, as in the playoffs, there were no shots in the paint against AD as he helped the Lakers to the West Finals. In 2023, Anthony Davis put up 25.9 points, 12.5 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and 2 blocks on an efficient 56.3% shooting. However, the setbacks for Davis continues to be the consistency on offense, as Davis has never been able to string back-to-back 20-point games in the playoffs, and although he had some great playoff games and moments, his numbers still dropped as he only averaged 22 points per game this postseason. Many thought that AD should have taken over as the best player on the Lakers by now as LeBron ages, but the truth is he still hasn't been able to do so. Number 9, Devin Booker. Devin Booker and the Suns are going to be scary in 2024, as pairing Booker with Durant and Beal is going to be a deadly offense for sure. Booker proved to be the best player on the Suns during this postseason as he put up 33.7 points, 4.8 rebounds, 7.2 assists, 1.7 steals on a really efficient 58.5% shooting. Booker is one of the most complete scorers in the NBA today as he scores from beyond the arc, in the mid-range, and in the paint. Booker missed a lot of time last season, but when he did play, the Suns had a record of 34-19 as he dominated anyone who tried to guard him. Personally, I'm super excited to see how good of a season he has in 2024 with the newly signed Durant and Beal as the Suns look to get their first title in franchise history. I've heard people say that the Suns were falling off before Durant came, but the truth was that had more to do with Booker being out. Number 8, LeBron James. In 2016, if you had told me that LeBron James in 2023 would still be a top 10 player in the NBA and leading a team to the Western Conference Finals, I'd first say the West Finals, then I'd say I didn't believe you, but all of that is true. LeBron James became the all-time leading scorer, passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on averages of 28.9 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 6.8 assists on 50% shooting in year 20. The strengths of LeBron James are well known by now, as he's great at getting down the lane, an elite passer and playmaker while being capable to lead a team in scoring. But the weaknesses of his game are glaring in the playoffs, as LeBron was struggling from 3. Now, I really mean he was struggling from 3. LeBron shot a gross 26.4% from deep in the postseason. LeBron also appeared to be out of gas in the West Finals versus the Nuggets, as he missed shots he would normally hit and even missed a wide open dunk. The playoff LeBron that we've seen in the past may just now be in the past, as next offseason when I make this video, I wouldn't be surprised if he's now out of the top 10. Number 7, Kevin Durant. Many say that KD is still a top 5 player in the NBA, and others say that he's still in the conversation of being the best player in the world. KD is a cheat code, and we all know this. His jump shot and handles along with his height make him unlike any player the game has ever seen. Durant's critics say that he's not able to be the bus driver, or in other words, lead a team. However, personally, for me, if Harden and Kyrie don't get injured in 2021, I think he might have proved them wrong. However, That ship has sailed now for Durant as he's a part of another super team. Wow, big shock, I know. In 2023, he averaged 29.1 points, 6.7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1.4 blocks on 56% shooting. KD is now one of the best rim protectors in the NBA, and you could argue he's now a two-way player. But over the last few seasons, Durant has been very injury-prone as he only just made it to 45 games last season due to another knee problem. While on the other hand, he was traded mid-season to the Suns and had to adapt to a new system. But that's the thing with KD. He doesn't need to adapt, as he's the best plug-and-play player the league has ever seen, as he will consistently take 2 to 3 dribbles and pull up for a mid-range shot. His playmaking is also not bad, as his 5 assists per game is a testament to that. However, he's still not a top 5 player in the NBA, and neither is Joel Embiid, who comes in at number 6. The reigning scoring champ and MVP isn't a top 5 player in the NBA. Now hear me out. Embiid is a great mid-range shooter for a 7-footer. He's also dominant in the post while being elite on the defensive side of the ball. However, Embiid has continued to drop in the playoffs, averaging 10 less points than his 33 in the regular season. The 10-point drop-off was largely due to a knee problem that he suffered in the opening round versus the Nets, but that brings me to my second point for why he isn't a top 5 player, as he's so dang injury prone. This man's durability is a problem, as there isn't an injury that Embiid hasn't suffered, as he consistently misses around 30 to 40 games per season due to these problems. This season he struggled with feet problems during the regular season and then a knee problem in the postseason. Then you bring up the playmaking issues with Embiid and it's clear why he's not top 5. When Joel Embiid gets doubled, it's pretty much over, as he just isn't able to make a pass out of a double like Giannis and Jokic can, leaving him outside of the top 5.
Yo, last time I was on the mic, I had a fresh cut, but now I got curls. So what? Same rules apply.
When I get a cut, I think I'm top 5. Top 5 what? Top 5.
Like the clip says, Jayson Tatum is top 5. I had to think about this for him for a while, but I believe Jayson Tatum is a better player than Embiid due to the playoff difference. Tatum dropped 51 points on Embiid in Game 7 to beat the Sixers as Boston made it to another East Finals. Jayson Tatum does have his playoff woes too, but his playoff best is far better than Embiid's, and it's not even close. Tatum is a lethal scorer of the ball, as his jump shot took yet another major leap this season, as he put up 30.1 points, 8.8 rebounds, 4.6 assists, 1.1 steals on 46.6 from the field, and 37% from 3-point range on 9 attempts per game. Tatum is also a very solid two-way player, as he gets steals and can stay in front of guards on the perimeter, while his playmaking is super underrated, as his driving kicks is the spark to the Celtics' great ball movement, as he draws a solid amount of gravity to make these reads. However, the drawback to his game is the lack of variety, as Tatum is going to shoot a sidestep 3 or drive to the cup trying to draw a foul. There is no mid-range game or post game that he puts out there. And you can't forget about the turnover problems, as he's pretty shocking at times, as the 3 turnovers he had against the Heat late in Game 1, in the final minutes single-handedly lost down the game and then ended up being the reason that they lost the series too. These mistakes are just too bad for a player of his caliber. However, on a night-to-night basis, Tatum is super durable and performs on a super high level that only few players in the league can replicate. Number 4, Luka Doncic. Luka is the most elite young star in the NBA, as there isn't anything Luka can't do on offense. Luka's court vision is elite with a deadly playmaking ability while applying elite rim pressure, having a post-up game and being one of the best playoff risers in the league. He may not be an elite 3-point shooter, but he can still knock them down at 34% on 8 attempts per game. In the 2023 season, he averaged 32.4 points, 8.6 rebounds, 8 assists on 49.6% shooting. He can also get downhill, not to the level that Giannis can, but he's still very effective. He can run the pick and roll as a ball handler and find an open shooter. He really is a Swiss Army knife on the offensive end. But the defense is where he really struggles, as opposing offenses will target Luka over and over again, as I wouldn't say he's a complete zero in defense, maybe like a Trae Young or a James Harden. Luka does have some size and he averages 1.4 steals per game, but Luka tends to be a bit of a ball watcher and doesn't take the defense as seriously as he should at times. Number 3, Stephen Curry. The best point guard in the NBA, still at the prime of his career, with averages of 29.4 points, 6.1 rebounds, 6.3 assists, shooting 42.7% from deep on 11 attempts per game, while shooting 49.3% from the field as a whole. Being the best shooter the league has ever seen, Curry has the best gravity of any player, as when you watch Curry, look at the defenders, as they are all somewhat following him, as it's not as simple as to just run him off the 3-point line. As Curry has an elite floater, while also being an elite finisher for his size, yes, you could definitely argue that Steph is the best player in the NBA right now, as in the right situation, he's very deadly. Even though the defensive side of the ball for Curry has improved over the years, he's still not good enough to stop opposing opponents from driving right by. Granted though, he's still better than Luka, as Steph does battle on the defensive end, and you have to give him that, but the defense still isn't good. When Curry matches up against elite defenses who have solid guard defenders and a rim protector, Curry's numbers drop, as we saw versus the Lakers with Dennis Schroeder and Anthony Davis, making his life very difficult. We've seen this time and time again. When Curry faces legitimate good defenses, he tends to struggle. Number 2, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis is one of the best players in the world, no doubt about it, and you can make a very solid argument that he's still the best player in the league, and I wouldn't really have a problem with that. Giannis definitely will suffer with recency bias, as how the postseason went down for him last season against the Miami Heat, being eliminated in the first round, was not good. However, in the closeout Game 5 versus the Heat, Giannis still was able to put up 38 points and 20 rebounds. This man is not going anywhere anytime soon and is still in the discussion for the best player in the game. He's far away the best two-way player in basketball, and when he's locked in, especially in the playoffs, he's basically unstoppable. We've seen in the past that the only way to really beat him is to force him to beat you while taking away his teammates' abilities. Sometimes Giannis does tend to coast a little bit in the regular season on the defensive side of the ball, but for me, he's still the best defensive player in the league. In the 2023 regular season, Giannis averaged 31.1 points, 11.8 rebounds, 5.7 assists, and 0.8 blocks on 55.3% from the field. But what sets Giannis apart on the defensive end is his help defense, as he's arguably the greatest help defensive player in the history of the NBA. We've seen time and time again him make ridiculous plays to block shots, as a center and teammate Brook Lopez definitely allows Giannis to play more of a help role. Something that's been overlooked is his mental attitude and leadership, as you won't ever see Giannis involved in a controversy, and he plays the game the right way, and so does the best player on the NBA right now. As number 1, we have Nikola Jokic. As we all know, Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets just won the NBA championship, as during the postseason, Nikola Jokic basically averaged a triple-double as he put up 30 points, 13.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists, 1 block on 54.8% from the field. The Joker is pretty much renowned as the best offensive player in the league right now, and it's not hard to see why of those averages. Every now and again, when you scroll through Instagram or any kind of social media, you'll see someone's 5 best NBA players and it doesn't have Jokic on it. For me, there shouldn't even be a top 3 list that doesn't have Jokic on it. As of right now, he's definitely the best player in the NBA.